What is freedom of speech? It's the freedom to speak. So I read a politician today saying, I agree with freedom of speech, but there are limits. Well, there's no freedom of speech then. Freedom of speech is the freedom to speak. If anyone's not allowed to speak, then it's not freedom of speech, it's freedom to conform to certain parameters of what are acceptable. And then what that's doing is giving power to some authority to decide what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And as we see, and we're seeing it massively now, once you give that power to an authority, it then starts interpreting what can and cannot be said in a way that squeezes and squeezes and squeezes more and more of what cannot be said. This is what political correctness is about. What is political correctness? It's simply manipulating the target population to silence itself, so those in authority don't have to. It's ridiculous. Now, people say, well, you say that people can say anything. Well, yes, I do, and I'll tell you why. There are laws against incitement to racism, incitement to hatred, incitement to violence. There are laws against that.
Are they laws you agree with?
Yeah, and if people use their freedom of speech to incite those things, then there are laws to deal with that, and those laws should deal with it. What I'm saying is, once you start censoring freedom of speech at the point of delivery, or even more sinister, before the point of delivery, by banning people from the right to have access to the communication networks or speak in public, that is what the fascists do. What did fascists do in Nazi Germany? What does any tyranny do? It wants to silence those that are exposing the tyranny and have a different version of events to the tyranny. So what did the Nazis do? They burnt the books. They banned the meetings of people who were exposing the Nazis. And now in this inverted world, we have people who call themselves progressives, and they seem to have this extraordinary self-delusion that progressive mentality has something to do with being liberal, when it's not. It's the opposite of liberal. They are the ones that claim to be wanting people to be inclusive and to have diversity.
But maybe on their terms.
When they're destroying diversity, and they have become the new tyranny. They have become the new Nazis. Well, what I'm saying here is, if you look at what this progressive mentality is doing in silencing people and deciding in their arrogance what people can and cannot say and what opinion they can and cannot have, you look at what the Nazis did, you look at what the communist Soviet Union did in terms of freedom of speech, and you'd show me the difference between them. There is none. And it's this self-deluded arrogance which goes like this: I am right, therefore anyone who says something different must therefore be wrong, and by definition, because they are wrong and I am right, their freedom of speech to be wrong doesn't need to be taken into account.
First of all, if you don't have a purpose, let's say, it isn't that your life becomes neutral in a meaningless sense. It's that your life becomes characterized by unbearable suffering, because the baseline condition of life is something like unbearable suffering. And what you have to set against that is a noble and worthwhile purpose. And hopefully your determination of that purpose is buttressed to some degree by the wisdom of the past, because you can't conjure something like that up on your own. And if you provide people with nobility of purpose, then they can tolerate the suffering of existence without becoming entirely corrupted by it. And cultures that don't do that, it isn't even so much that they die, it's that cultures that don't do that are dead. They're done. They don't have a story anymore. They don't have a call to adventure. And then, well, then everyone suffers stupidly as a consequence. It's a very bad thing. So Churchill made the same observation that many of the great psychologists and philosophers made in the early part of the 20th 20th century. So bring the story forward and propagate it and make it the most noble possible story. And then you motivate people to transcend themselves, which they need to do. So yes, he's exactly right in his diagnosis. People think of freedom as the ability to implement your whim. And freedom opens up that as a possibility. But sustainable freedom, that isn't what it's about at all. It's primarily about responsibility. It's about determining which load you're going to pick up and carry. That's the proper definition of appropriate freedom. It's not dim gratification of instantaneous impulse. It's self-evident that that doesn't work. 2-year-olds do that, and that's why they can't live in the world. They can't organize themselves across time. They can't sacrifice the moment for the future. And the more sophisticated you get, I suppose, in some sense, the more you're able to do that. And then your freedom becomes the freedom to choose the proper responsibility. And that's also not something that we've been good at communicating to young people. If we talk to them about responsibility, we generally do it in a finger-wagging sort of way. It's like, well, you're breaking the rules, you're a bad person. And well, that may be true because people break the rules and there's no shortage of badness in people. But the proper message for young people is to say, well, no, you don't understand. You want to take on responsibility. You want to take on the heaviest load that you can conceive of, that you might be able to move, because it gives your life nobility and purpose. And that offsets the tragedy. And not only psychologically, not only does it offset it psychologically because you have a purpose and something to wake up for, right, and to face the difficulties of the day, but also because if you face the difficulties of the day properly, you actually ameliorate suffering, not only in the psychological sense, but because you make the world at least a less terrible place. And that's something, right? To move things away from hell is something, even if you're not, self-evidently moving forthrightly to heaven. To move things away from the worst they can be is, well, that's a noble goal in and of itself.
See, people are always talking about freedom, but they're always thinking how to bind themselves to something or somebody. If you're really lost in your life, you're absolutely free, isn't it? Hello? No? Freedom is a territory which needs lot of maturing and culturing to handle. Otherwise, people doing compulsive things, they're thinking they're free. These are compulsive things. Somebody is drinking, if you say, why don't you not drink today, you can do it tomorrow. Why don't I have the freedom to drink? No, it's compulsive. If you're calling your compulsiveness as freedom, it's very unfortunate. You lost all your freedom in compulsiveness. So freedom is that kind of a territory where you have to culture yourself, mature yourself to exist free. Everybody, I think at some point, we provide these opportunities for young people to come and just be by yourself. No compulsive talking, no phone, no drink, no nothing, simple. You eat what you want for nourishment and then simply be. Everybody must spend at least a little bit of time like this, because only then you understand how compulsive you are. Unfortunately, we are translating compulsiveness as some kind of a goal in our life or freedom in our life. No. See, if you want to get somewhere in your life, get somewhere does not mean be better than somebody, do this, earn this, that, no. As a life, your experience of life should become a fantastic experience. So right now, all the crazy things that people are doing in their life, why? They drink, sexuality, temple, this, meditation, whatever they're doing. Why are they doing? Because they want their experience of life to become pleasant. Yes or no? Somebody hits the bottle, somebody hits somebody else, and somebody does something else, but essentially looking for pleasantness. If your body becomes pleasant, we call this health. I'm talking yoga now to you, officially. If your body becomes pleasant, we call this health. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it joy. If your emotions become pleasant, we call it love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your very life energies become pleasant, we call this blissfulness. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. Only for this last one, to make our surroundings pleasant, we need the cooperation of many forces around us. Many things have to fall into place. But to keep your body pleasant, mind pleasant, emotion pleasant, your life energy is pleasant, it's 100% your business, not good for the business.
And what didn't happen, and how you were treated, and who didn't raise you, and who didn't love you. You don't have to grieve about it at all. Once you understand, the greater the digression, the stronger the progression. I'm telling you that a new house doesn't make a new marriage. I'm talking about a new outfit doesn't make you a new person. Created it, passionate about, excited to do, and the rest of it is all the dismal, dumb stuff that we all have to do in order to survive. Just crazy stuff that we're doing. Wonder what would happen if we would go from doing 80% of things that are busy but not effective.
I'm a winner. I'm going to win. You're born with a gift. It's not that then you get good at something along the way. What you're good at, you don't take for granted. You don't betray it. What if you do? Betray your gift? You betray yourself. For far too long, you've been holding yourself back. This is time for you. To walk with purpose, it's time for you. To walk into your gift.
If Nelson Mandela had not been incarcerated, had not been mistreated, had not been ostracized, he would not have the passion to do what he does. If Oprah Winfrey had not gone through the things that she had gone through, she would not be so committed to making sure that everybody finds their purpose and finds their dream and everybody gets healed and everybody's okay. I'm telling you, what you think is working against you is actually working for you. My challenge in our generation is that gradually, through entertainment, through television, through media, through every way possible, we are living in a generation of the dumbing down of ideas. Because we have traded effectiveness for busyness.
If all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gulf, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. You have greatness in you.
What I'm trying to tell you, beloved, is that you can have a new year, but it don't mean jack diddly if you don't have a new mind. I'm telling you that you can buy a new car, but if you put the old man in a new car, you're still going to have the old experience. Statistics say we are busier than any other generation we have seen in the last 300 to 400 years. We are so busy. We are busier than a one-arm wallpaper hanger. We're just busy. We are just as busy as we can be, and we think because we're busy, we're effective. But I want you to challenge your schedule for a minute and ask yourself, are you really being effective? Or is your life cluttered with all kinds of stuff that demands you and drains you and taxes you and stops you from being your highest and best self? And are you substituting busyness and all the chaos that goes along with busyness from being effective? Let me tell you, a bunch of scientists got together and they began to do some research, and they begin to determine that 80% of the things we do are busy things that we do in an area that is not effective, that the average person only spends 20% of their time doing the thing that they are really gifted at. Through until something is done, come hell or high water. Tears and struggles and pain, and you go through it anyway, and you show up and you continue to fight on no matter the circumstances, tired as you are, as many mistakes as you made, you do make a difference. There is something they would lose if you were not there. There was something that they would miss if you were not there. You do make a difference.
We all have things that we're believing for, dreams that we want to accomplish, problems we're hoping will turn around. Maybe it's to see our family restored, to lose some weight, to break an addiction, to start our own business. But sometimes as it goes on, month after month, even year after year, and we don't see anything changing, it's easy to get discouraged and think,
To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. If every time you go to better yourself, somebody hits you with a line like, why would you want to do that? You need to find another social circle if I'm going to fall. I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. We did not come this far to just break down and lose not.
By grace and mercy, by blessings from God, my life is because God has seen it to be so. Oh, but I got plenty of people around me who want credit and want you to not give credit to God and give it to them. I got that. But it's okay. It's so clear to me what my father was saying to me. And I get it as I get older and older. People come into your life for seasons. I guess that's the same thing. You know, they season up, they gone. Well, you know, hear the way they try to hold you. Oh, you gonna forget where you come from? Oh, you ain't gonna keep it real no more? I don't wanna go back where I come from. I don't wanna keep it that real no more. It was real enough for me living in a car. I had enough of that real. Now I don't keep it real. I wanna go keep it dreamy. I wanna go keep it fantasizing. I want to keep it out of this world. I want to see what that's like.
I've got companies that are in the education space. I bought Adweek with a group of partners. I have my financial companies. So the diversity I have is mind-boggling, but that's also the secret to investing. You know, if you've got all your eggs in one basket and there's a problem, you need to make sure you run your business really successful, give it your all, not start 20 of them. But once that business really is strong and your investments are strong, then you can build a second one. Most people, they build a business and then it's not going as well as they want, so I start another business because it feels more exciting. And it's like, you have one child you're not taking care of, so let's have a second child and a third child, and it just doesn't work. But the diversity of it also makes me excited. So I manage 12 of them actively. The others, I have such great partners. Like, you know, I own the Major League Soccer new franchise in LA. I'm a partner in that. It's called the LA Football Club. Well, my partner is Peter Guber, who owns the LA Dodgers and owns the Golden State Warriors, and about as smart a human as you could ever have in the sports field.
Always offers you a second chance. You know what it's called tomorrow for far too long. You've been holding yourself back. This is time for you to walk with purpose. It's time for you to walk into your gift. It's time for you to live your best life. It's wrapped in your capacity, your ability to believe in a dream, even if nobody believes in you.
So no, I ain't gonna forget where I come from, but you ain't gonna hold me to that though. Thoughts become things. Where are the things that you want written down? What do you think about the most? How grateful are you for what all God has done for you? Where you at with that? If all you thinking about is your debt, if all you thinking about is what you ain't got, if all you thinking about is every time I turn around I'm sick, if all you thinking about is the things in life that you're lacking, and if thoughts become things, how much debt you think you gonna stay in? How much lacking you think you finna fill your life with? How much more stuff you finna not have? 'Cause you keep thinking about it all the time. When you gonna be grateful? When you gonna say thank you? When it's gonna come out your mouth, man, that I may not be where I wanna be, but I sure am grateful for what you've given me so far.
And then I bought, in the esports field, that's mind-boggling. We fill whole stadiums now with people watching people play video games. So I bought Team Liquid, which with my partners, with Peter and everyone else. And so, I mean, the opportunities are just amazing because I'm partnering with people who have skills that are the best in the world, and I'm bringing mine. And you combine them, you know, you get a greater impact.
It's until you open your mind, open-mindedness creates that. We all shut down our mind. Like, for instance, when I broke the pull-up record, everybody around me who heard the pull-up record was 4,020 pull-ups. That's the first thing they did. Oh my God.
4,024 hours? Or
Yeah, it's 4,020 pull-ups in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
The first thing I did versus closing my mind and like, oh my God, that's crazy. I went and got a pen.
So how many is that every minute?
Exactly.
Every hour, every second.
Instead of taking life and making it out to be this grandiose thing, start breaking it down.
Support you can get you there. Put your goddamn head down and take charge here in life. True desire in the heart that it's that. You have whatever it is you want to do. The thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money. The desire that it's that's God's proof to you. Set before and already to vindicate that. It's yours. You can't get it because you want it. If you put in the work, they can't deny you. If you put in the work, they can't stop. Be great, pursue your own version of happiness.
Recently, you talked about ditching patience, but I think patience helps in the long run. Why do you think ditching patience will help? This is so fascinating. So patience in the long run is the only thing that I can tell you is guaranteed to fail. There may be some advantage to the reason that people are telling you to have patience in the short term. Because here's what anybody telling you to have patience is trying to get you to understand one very simple thing. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, it takes a very long time. And so if you go into it and you're playing this short-term game, chances are you're gonna do things that are damaging to your reputation long-term. That to me is not patience. That to me is playing the long game. You want to play the long game. You want to be authentic. You want to be a good person. You want to do good things for people. You want to invest in other people, not because you're being patient. Because patient to me is a very passive position. It's saying, look, I'm not going to go all out today because at the end of the day, this is going to take time. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so I need to pace myself. That's what people hear when you tell them to be patient. I know because I've seen it play out thousands of times. So what happens when you tell people be patient is you're telling them, hey, look, this is going to take a really long time anyway. So pace yourself. Here's the reality. And you're going to feel the truth of this instantly. Most dreams never come true. Most of the people that you know, most of the dreams that you've had for yourself, they haven't come true. Why not? Because they're brutally difficult. The world is going to resist you. It is not going to be easy to overcome entropy, to overcome inertia. The only way that you're going to overcome that stuff is to go all out every day, knowing that it's going to take a long time. But the only way that that dream is going to come true, even over that long period of time, is if you're going all out every day. So literally a mantra in my life, and I cannot stress this enough. This is a cornerstone of why I've been able to achieve at the level that I've been able to achieve. Every day, everything I'm doing, I'm asking, why can't it be done faster? Why can't I accomplish more right now? That it's not okay to put something off even till tonight. I need to do it right now. Now, you need to get very good at prioritizing, because if you're trying to do everything right now, you're going to accomplish nothing. And if you're trying to be gimmicky or do shortcuts, all of that's going to fail, because none of that is playing the long game. But if ever you're allowing yourself to slow down because you simply are acknowledging that this stuff takes time, I'm telling you, it's never going to work. You've got to go all out. You've got to create momentum.
Refine your goals. I don't know what ambitions you've had up until now, but this weekend would be a good time to start the process. We're going to talk about our goals workshop before our session is over this weekend. Maybe that will help stimulate you to set some higher goals, reach for some higher purpose, go for something beyond what you thought you could do. By the time this weekend's over, you might double, triple, quadruple the amount of goals, purpose, all the things you think you can accomplish. You could multiply that by 10 by the time we finish here on Sunday. Believe in yourself. Yes, you got to believe in God, and you got to believe in the community, and you've got to believe in the possibilities. You've got to believe in the economy. You've got to believe that tomorrow can be better than today. But here's the big one. Believe in yourself. There isn't a skill you can't learn. There isn't a discipline you can't try. There isn't a class you couldn't take. There isn't a book you couldn't read. If it's written in some other language, you just get it translated and read it. Ask for wisdom. This is communication of the highest source. Ask for wisdom. Ask for wisdom that creates answers. Ask for the wisdom that creates faith to believe things are possible. In King Solomon's day, there was the dilemma of two mothers who claimed the same baby. And the question was, whose baby is this? This mother says, it's mine. The other mother says, no, it's mine. Solomon said, bring me the baby. They brought him the baby, and he raised the sword. He said, I'm going to cut this baby in half and give one half to this mother and one half to this mother. And as he raised his sword, sobbingly, the real mother said, no, 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 don't cut the baby in half. Give it to her, who was not the real mother. Solomon says, now I know who's the real mother. See, that is so wise. And the moment was such drama. But Solomon, the wisest of the wise, knew what to do to settle the deal. Ask for wisdom to deal with the challenges of today and tomorrow, to deal with the challenges your family brings you. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Conserve your time. I must learn to do this. How much time have I got left? Not an unlimited supply. How many of these weekends can I do? Not 1,000, just a few, maybe a handful. Sometimes we get faked out. Bill Bailey says, the average person says, I got 20 more years. No, Bill says you got 20 more times. If you go fishing once a year, you've only got 20 more times to go fishing. Not 20 years. That fakes you out. I got 20 years. No, 20 times. See, that brings it right down to the real stuff. 20 times. How many more seminars like this? Not 1,000, a few, just a few. So would I mumble and stumble? Would I give you less than my best when I've only got a few more to give? And the answer is no, of course not. If you're a person of some dignity and quality, you wouldn't let that happen.
You guys have to understand that confidence is not something, and I've said this for so long, I've dedicated so many years of my life to getting this message out, but it's still not registering with a lot of people, all right? And I want to make this something that you cannot ever forget. You have to understand right now that if you wait for yourself to just naturally feel confident, and you look at other people and you see, oh, that person seems like they've really got their shit together, and they seem so confident all the time, and they always know what to do, and they always listen. You are confusing yourself out of the reality and victimizing yourself unintentionally. And here's what I mean by that. That person that you see who appears to have their shit together all the time, first of all, has probably earned the right to feel that way. Now, we all know some cocky fuckers who have never accomplished anything in their life but think they're awesome. And we see this a lot at like the lower levels, right? And it's usually the people who think they know everything and that they're so great and you know, but their life doesn't reflect it, that they are, you know, the people that think they know the most. You know, when we talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect, and if you Google that, it'll tell you what it is. But basically, it's a false sense of confidence because you don't really know. And right now we're seeing that a lot in society. You know, we're seeing a lot of people talk about a lot of shit that they fucking have no idea what they're talking about because their favorite celebrity or their favorite influencer who posts pictures of their fucking asshole on the internet is telling them to do that. Okay. So what does real confidence, where does it come from? How do we get it? And how do we make sure that we keep it? Well, here's the thing you need to understand, guys. When you do everything you can, when you on a daily level, and this is why I talk about win the day. When you literally execute on everything that you could and you do everything that you can, you have no other option but to be moved into a place of confidence. And let me give you an example. Right now, I have a contest going on at my office, an 8-week transformation challenge that we're doing with First Form. We do this many times a year. But this time we're doing it in the office, okay? And I made a bet that anybody in the office, and we have hundreds of employees, that beats me in the next 8 weeks for a transformation, I will pay $1,000 to. So here we are 5 weeks in, and there's a couple people who are doing really good, like really good. And I'm doing really good. I've done literally everything I can fucking do. Okay. I've done every cardio. I've ate every piece of food perfectly. I've done all my supplements perfectly. I've done all my weight workouts perfectly. I've given everything that I can. So I can't be upset that I may have some people do better than me. I feel very confident about what I've done and very confident in my abilities. Okay. And this is just a small example of how this works. I'm not threatened by anybody. I'm not insecure that someone is doing a good thing. But when you lack confidence, that's where these feelings come from. That's when jealousy creeps in. That's when fear creeps in. That's when insecurity creeps in. And that affects your anxiety levels and the way you think about yourself and the actions that you take. So the first step to curing this is understanding that what you put in, you will get out.
You realize that playing in the NFL was the best thing that never happened because it got me here. So my point is, look, you're going to get your ass kicked. We're going to get the shit kicked out of us. You got to get up. You got to have faith that the one thing you wanted to happen oftentimes is the best thing that never happened. So have faith. Just keep that in mind and keep plugging away. Okay, in between sets, as I'm working out, and as I often do in between sets, I slide into your comment section nice and I read your comments just so we could stay connected, and I always know what's on your mind and I can address it. So somebody just asked me a cool question, said, DJ, you're on top. Where could you possibly go from here? And you always talk about outworking your competition. Who's your competition? It's a great question. Thank you for the compliment, by the way. I'm fortunate enough to be on top, but anytime you reach the top, you always want to make sure that you have the desire to raise the bar and take the brass ring to places it's never been. That's the key with being on top. Just because it's never been done doesn't mean it can't be done. And in terms of competition, great question. Everyone's my competition, but a fundamental key that I've learned over the years is, and I'll share it with you, my number one competition is me. It's always you versus you. You got to be the one to get up every morning, be disciplined, put in the consistent daily hard work because that gains success. No coach, no trainer, no mentor, no boss can do it. You versus you.
I knew I wanted to be something, and it was important to me to be something. It was important to me that I didn't fail. But by the way, and if I did fail, at least what was also important was the lesson. And I didn't realize that until I got older, because when you're in it, you're in the grind, you don't really recognize those things when you're younger, but I could recognize it now and the importance of them now. And just in terms of the drive and the determination, a lot of it was experience too. You get your ass kicked, you get back up, and you put the gloves back on and you swing away.
All right, Saturday afternoon, empty gym, the way we like it, tripping over here. It's leg day, which means it's going to be sweaty, painful, and fun. They say that nothing good happens in the 4 a.m. hour. Well, I can guarantee you this. It's 4:45 a.m. It's still dark outside. Look at that. The lights just went out, and I'm getting ready to kill this AM cardio.
Train twice. I'll get my cardio in and breakfast, and then I'll go hit the weights. Clanging and banging, we call it.
The masters make the hardest things in the world look easiest. And in the moments where you push yourself, when no one else is around, those moments have a tendency to lead to success.
Oftentimes when I see kids and they have been labeled, oh, they're punk kids, but there's good in them. And we got to see that potential. And I enjoy that today, seeing potential in kids just like he did, especially kids who are kind of wayward and have been going through it. I know what it's like.
Our most powerful and most important is when we just embrace who we are. It's just believing in yourself and embracing who you were born to be.
Whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way, when we were talking in London, I was getting up at 3 because I had to be on set by 4. So whatever time my call time is, those are directors and our producers, whatever time my call time, so my call time is at 7, then you back your clock up 4 hours, and then that's when I get up and train twice.
Just wrap that 4 a.m. cardio. There's no substitute for hard work. I get up super early. Generally, I have this thing where I like beating the sun up, not just in terms of when the sun comes up, I have to get up. And how do I do it? It's just important to find balance, and I try and do things really that I really enjoy doing. And a lot of times, you know, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person, and a funky relationship here, and all these things. Work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if there's a golden rule. I can tell you this, that I believe anything is possible, right? I live in the world of possibility. And I also believe that we can accomplish anything with our 2 hands and just putting in the work with our 2 hands. And also, you hear this often, but it's really, really true. You got to find something, if you love what you do and be passionate about what you do and find something that you can be passionate like, it really helps. You know, it gives you that motivation when you wake up in the morning.
Consistently being told that whatever it is that you want to do, you've got to get after it. You got to get after it. There's no substitute for hard work. Hard work always pays. You know, those type of mantras over time. And those are your examples of, you know, what it's like to get beat down, what it's like to get, just in terms of the struggle, what it's like to be evicted out of your apartment, what it's like to have your car repossessed and watch your parents go through that I think is defining as a kid.
You know, I grew up, there was a period of time where I was making a lot of mistakes, David. I was getting arrested multiple times. By the time I was 16, I was arrested maybe 7 or 8 times, fighting theft, doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was really lucky that I had a couple of people who, along with my parents, who saw the potential in me even when I didn't see the potential in me. And it wasn't until I got older, had a little bit of luck, a little bit of success, that I started to understand the value and the power of someone giving back.
I go back to my coach. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? The list got shorter. The next year we went all the way to the Elite 8. We were 1 shot away from the Final 4, and I was the top 6 man in the country. I carved out a niche. And that's what impact players do. They make their community better. They make their city better. They make their town better. They make realtors better. Be an impact player, and anyone in your life, if they need a shark, you become their shark. All I had to do was have 1 good year, and I'll walk right into the NBA. My senior year, everything lines up. But the first game of my senior year, I break my foot. I come back in 6 weeks, and I break my foot a second time. In my mind, my college career was over, and my NBA dreams were dead. I averaged 7 points a game. I got offered a $75,000 job because one of our season ticket holders liked me. Right before I took the job, my daddy called me on the phone. He would always ask the right questions at the right time. He said, "You had a tough year, son. What's next?" I said, "Daddy, I'm going to be a hospital administrator, $75,000 job." He said, "Not bad, son, but can I ask you a question? Do you believe you're an NBA player?" Come on now, Dad. I only average 7 points a game, Dad. We're not like these other black families that just need basketball, Dad. We're educated, Dad. We're not dependent on basketball, Dad. We're balanced, Dad. We're educated, Dad. I got a $75,000 job, Dad. Do you believe, son? He was checking my mindset. He was checking to see, was I thinking like an A student? Or was I falling back into that C mindset? Do you believe you're an NBA player? I said, "Yeah, Dad, I do." He said, "Well, go for it, son, but Dad, I never started in college, but. My father said, "You told me, son, that you're going to turn that program around, and you did it from the bench, son. You told me you're going to graduate in 4 years, son. The average student graduates in 5. I'm proud of you. But you told me that you're going to play in the NBA. And you told me you're going to make more money in business than you did in sports. Do you believe you're an NBA ball player?" do, Daddy. Go for it, son. Go for it. I go back to my coach's office and I said, Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? He teared up. I teared up. He said, I'll be honest with you, son. When I recruited you, I heard you was a mama's boy. But you're not. In fact, you're one of the toughest players I've ever had. I'm a Hall of Fame motivational speaker. I go all over the world running my mouth. But he gave me the greatest compliment I've ever received. He said, you're just like your daddy. And I was a sucker fish. But that moment was my opportunity to turn into a shark myself. If you hang around sharks long enough, it will transform your mindset. And I promise you, you will be like a shark. You will think like a shark. And you can't go backwards. And if you stop swimming, you will die. Brian Buffini, he can't go backwards. And if he stops swimming, he will die. So ladies and gentlemen, you're connected to the right shark. All you need to do is be a good sucker fish. Success is all around you. Just pay attention. Every time you leave a business meeting, consciously and subconsciously, that person keeps reaching you. Are you likable? Do you brighten up a room when you enter, or do you brighten up a room when you leave? Are you good with people? And don't you ever be a Sarah parasite, which means don't you ever come to this conference and go back home and do nothing. And then claim, oh, well, I tried and it didn't work. No. My college basketball coach said, son, I think you should be a motivational speaker. I said, Coach, I can talk the rest of my life. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? He said, if you do these two things, you'll play in the NBA. You got to better shoot the three-point shot with range. And you got to lose about 15 pounds because you don't pass the eyeball test. When I talk about the eyeball test, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. He says the NBA thinks you're a football player trying to play basketball. You got to lose weight to change the perception. I lost 15 pounds. And I became the first ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the NBA to start opening night.